Chosen one, you're built with two powers. This is not a metaphor, and it's not a spiritual riddle. It's a sacred truth, hidden in plain sight, embedded deep in your being before your birth ever reached the calendar. You carry something extraordinary, and the world around you is responding to what you haven't even fully activated yet. This is why life hasn't felt simple. This is why everything has always felt slightly offbeat, tilted, intense. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something is profoundly right within you. You were formed to be torn between two ancient forces, two powers, and the unfolding of your destiny depends on how you respond to this tension. Watch this video until the very end. There's a reason this found you. And write your warmest wishes in the comments and write Amen along with the number 99. Speak life into the universe, because this moment of alignment is not ordinary. When your words rise in sincerity, miracles listen, energy shifts, reality bends, doors unlock. Write your blessings below if you're ready for a shift, because something powerful begins the moment your spirit agrees. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. You were never just given one path, one gift, one singular mission. No, your design was much more complex, more layered, more strategic. You were born carrying two powers. One is the power to rise, and the other, the power to remain hidden. One brings you into the light, into legacy, into movement and boldness and supernatural clarity. The other invites you to pause, to observe, to conceal, to walk the invisible path where very few are allowed. And here's the secret that has shaken many before you. Both powers are divine. Both have purpose. Both are part of your calling. But both cannot be used at the same time. This is the crossroads you felt but couldn't name. This is the inner battle you've sensed but never articulated. The feeling of being pulled toward greatness while simultaneously feeling the need to retreat. The longing to be seen and the instinct to disappear. The desire to share everything God has whispered into your heart, and the quiet fear that the world isn't ready. Or worse, that it would destroy what it doesn't understand. These are not contradictions. These are confirmations. The double power within you was placed there with intention. One awakens the fire. The other, the wind. One is your roar. The other is your silence. But here's the revelation. God never meant for both to be activated at once. He meant for you to learn the art of choosing. Not once, but every day. This is where your spiritual power matures. Not just in knowing what you carry, but in learning when to carry it. When to wield it, when to retreat, and when to rise. You are not indecisive. You are multidimensional. You are not scattered. You are sacred. You are not behind. You are being calibrated. Your two powers are not meant to destroy each other. They are meant to teach you rhythm. They are meant to expose what the moment requires. They are meant to remind you that even your stillness has power, and even your explosion has peace. Some of your most frustrating seasons came when you activated the wrong power at the wrong time. You tried to be loud when silence was your sword. You tried to disappear when your voice was needed to shift the atmosphere. But don't feel shame. This is part of learning how your anointing functions. There is no manual for someone like you. There is no script, only signs, only signals, only silence, and divine nudges. And lately, God has been showing you which power it's time to walk in. You've felt it. You've seen the clues. The people around you don't always understand. One moment, you're the fire that inspires them. The next, you're the mystery that confuses them. But that's because you're not here to be consistent in their eyes. You're here to be consistent with God's guidance. Your pattern won't make sense to the unchosen. Your movement won't be approved by the masses. Your pauses will be mistaken for weakness. Your rise will be seen as arrogance. But you weren't sent here for applause. You were sent here for impact. This is why your life has been so different. It's why relationships have struggled to hold you. Why you outgrew spaces you thought were permanent. Why your seasons shift before anyone else even senses a change in the air. You're walking with two sacred codes, and they keep you ahead of time. They keep you in sync with what's unfolding in the invisible. You are moved by the unseen. And that's not strange. It's spiritual. You've always been destined to carry more than most. That's why your burdens have been heavier. That's why your thoughts go deeper. That's why you wrestle with the weight of choices in ways others don't. You're not just deciding for today. You're shifting entire timelines. One power affects the now. The other alters what comes next. And the truth is, every time you choose correctly, something massive happens in the spirit. There are doors that only open when the right version of you walks up to them. There are blessings that only appear when you activate the right energy. That's how God designed it. Not as punishment, but as preparation. You don't stumble into destiny. You align with it. And right now, you're standing on the edge of a decision that will ripple through every part of your life. The next move you make must come from clarity, not fear, not ego, not exhaustion, but clarity. That's why this message found you today. That's why your spirit is stirred. Because this isn't just a moment, it's a divine mirror. You needed to remember who you are. You needed to be reminded that you are not broken. You are built with more. That your dual nature is not confusion. It's a calling. That your delays were not denials. They were divine disguises. God has been protecting your power by slowing your exposure. And now, He's preparing to release the next phase. But He's watching to see which power you choose. Will you roar, or will you rest? Will you move, or will you meditate? Will you speak, or will you hold silence like a sword? Both are powerful. Both are divine. But only one is right for this moment. And deep in your spirit, you already know the answer. The people who tried to label you as unstable never understood your design. They wanted to define you by the visible. But your power has always been spiritual. That's why it confuses them. That's why they can't box you in. They saw you still and called it laziness, never realizing you were receiving divine blueprints. They saw you move and called it reckless, never knowing you were led by whispers from heaven. You were never built to fit the pattern. You were built to shape the pattern. That's what your two powers are for. You are not late. You are not lost. You are layered. And God is about to use every layer. The quiet you, the fiery you, the watching you, the warring you. All of it has purpose. All of it has weight. And all of it will be needed for what's coming next. You've stepped into the space between your two powers, and now everything feels more intense. That's not an accident. When you begin to acknowledge both sides of your divine design, the spiritual atmosphere responds. Heaven watches with expectation. The realm of darkness reacts with fear. Because when a chosen one begins to realize how to choose, how to shift, how to stand fully awake in their own God-given force, the world cannot remain the same. You've likely noticed the tension increasing. People pulling at your energy. Opportunities appearing that seem almost right, but not fully aligned. Internal whispers becoming louder, urging you to move, to speak, to act, and at the same time, warning you to pause, to observe, to wait. This isn't spiritual noise. This is divine strategy. You are being trained in real time to discern the weight of your presence. You are not learning from textbooks. You are learning from the battlefield of destiny. And every step forward has spiritual consequences. In moments like these, your power to rise wants to take charge. It wants to declare, to act boldly, to make the announcement, take the leap, throw off the cloak, and show the world who you are. It's a holy instinct. To rise, But sometimes, the power to remain hidden is stronger. Not weaker, stronger. Because it takes supernatural discipline to know what you carry and still wait for God to give the signal. To hold fire in your bones and not burn down what God has not yet authorized. That's what makes you dangerous. Not just your potential, but your patience. Not just your light, but your timing. There's something sacred about not needing to prove yourself anymore. When you finally realize that God didn't anoint you for attention, but for assignment, everything changes. You stop craving the spotlight. You stop forcing the moment. You stop begging people to believe in what you know deep down is already sealed in heaven. You stop trying to be understood by those who were never meant to walk with you into your next chapter. This is the season of your silent decisions. The kind that don't need a crowd. The kind that don't need applause. The kind that don't need to be posted. The kind that unlock dimensions of your future without saying a single word. Your destiny is not waiting for your announcement. It's waiting for your alignment. And that alignment begins with knowing which power to use right now. You've always had a sense that there was something different about you, something others didn't quite grasp. You could walk into a room and feel the atmosphere shift. You could sit in silence and receive visions that weren't yours, insights that pierced the veil. You'd say things and people would pause, not because of your tone, but because your words were laced with something from another realm. That wasn't arrogance, that was activation. But that kind of presence comes with responsibility. You're not just carrying potential, you're carrying permission. Permission to change rooms, to break generational cycles, to initiate wealth in places where scarcity reigned, to move with elegance through spiritual warfare without announcing your every strategy. You've been prepared to be both the whisper and the thunder, both the storm and the shelter. And now, the time has come for you to stop doubting what you carry just because others can't define it. You've walked through seasons where both powers felt muted, where nothing you did seemed to work, where speaking up felt like shouting into a void, and silence felt like suffocating. Those weren't wasted times. Those were divine reset points. Moments where God covered your power so it wouldn't be mishandled by environments not mature enough to receive it. Moments where your power was under renovation, so that when it was time to reemerge, you'd come forth not confused, but clarified. And this clarification is happening now. Even as you listen, something in your spirit is settling. You're realizing that you don't have to choose a side. You just have to choose the right one for the moment. And that requires trust, not in yourself alone, but in the timing of God. Trust that you're being led, that the doors opening now are divinely timed, that the things being removed are not punishments, but positioning. Some people will only understand the quiet version of you. Others will only be drawn to the bold, fiery side. And that's fine, because your assignment is not to be everyone's preference. It's to be heaven's presence on earth. Some will see your silence as passivity. Let them. Some will mistake your movement as impulsive. Let them. Your validation was never theirs to give. Your understanding doesn't need their approval. You are in a rhythm with God that cannot be explained by normal standards. You may not realize it yet, but the very atmosphere around you is shifting because you're becoming more aware of your powers. That awareness changes the way you walk into rooms. It changes the way you respond to spiritual attacks. It changes how you carry your presence. And it changes how doors open. Because the universe responds to divine awareness. When you move in full recognition of who you are, God moves through you in a completely different frequency. Don't be surprised if doors you were knocking on suddenly open without force. Don't be shocked when people who ignored you suddenly try to realign with your presence. Don't question the timing when blessings that were delayed start arriving with speed. You've made a shift internally, and now everything externally must mirror that reality. You're no longer operating on hope alone. You're operating on recognition. Recognition of your two divine tools. And here's the mystery. Even when you choose to rest, you're still rising. Even when you remain hidden, you're still expanding. Even when you stay silent, the spirit realm hears you clearly. That's what makes you chosen. You don't lose your power, you just redirect it. And now, the next part of your journey begins. The part where decisions hold more weight. The part where you no longer need confirmation from the crowd. The part where God shows you that you were never waiting on them. You were waiting on the version of you that could carry this power wisely. And now, that version is waking up. You feel it, don't you? This awareness, this quiet fire in your bones, this sense that the invisible things are more real than what your eyes can see. That's not imagination. That's confirmation. Confirmation that your season has shifted, that your time has come, that your silence was sacred, that your preparation was precise, and that now, you are standing at the edge of something greater than anything you've known. You're built with two powers. You've been entrusted with double grace, and the next move you make will reflect which one you choose. Now you're entering the phase where your choices are no longer about survival. They're about structure. Your soul is no longer fighting simply to stay afloat. It's now shaping the foundation for the legacy you were always meant to build. And as the reality of your two powers deepens in your spirit, the environment around you begins to respond more visibly. Patterns collapse. People fall away. Hidden truths are revealed. This isn't coincidence. It's consequence. When a chosen one begins to choose with clarity, the unseen realm shifts to support that awakening. This moment you're walking into isn't about speed. It's about weight. Every move you make from here forward is spiritually significant. You're not just deciding where to go, you're deciding how you will carry the kingdom force within you. Will you respond in heat, or will you respond in holiness? Will you allow your power to push for recognition, or will you let it reveal divine positioning? You see, God is not rushing you. He's refining you. He's testing the vessel before pouring the next level of influence, authority, and resources into it. You've likely felt that lately. A quiet pressure, a silent storm, a spiritual intensity that doesn't quite make sense in the natural. It's because you're in between two divine movements. One that wants you to be seen, the other that urges you to be still, and both are valid. But only one is correct for right now. This is where wisdom must surpass emotion. This is where timing must outweigh temptation. You've grown too much to let impulse lead anymore. You've reached the part of the story where precision replaces passion, where what used to stir your soul no longer satisfies. Because something deeper is rising within you, a divine knowing, a heavenly intelligence. You're becoming fluent in silence. You're starting to sense when a conversation isn't worth your voice, when a room isn't worth your presence, when a battle isn't worth your sword. That's not detachment. That's discernment. When you were younger in the spirit, you used both of your powers recklessly. Sometimes you'd speak when God was whispering. Sometimes you'd hide when he was calling you to rise. But don't regret those moments. They taught you what no one else could. They trained your ears. They built your spiritual reflexes. They revealed the cost of choosing the wrong power in the right season. And now, you're stepping forward with a level of clarity that hell cannot unseat. Your two powers are not random personality traits. They are sacred assignments. One is connected to your voice. The other is connected to your vision. One activates people. The other protects plans. One shifts atmospheres. The other shields anointing. You were never meant to walk fully in one and discard the other. You were meant to master the dance between both, and you are mastering it. Moment by moment, whisper by whisper, decision by decision. Don't expect others to understand this level. They weren't built to carry what you carry. Many were given gifts. You were given government. Many were given influence. You were given insight. That comes with a different kind of pressure, a different kind of pace, a different kind of preparation. So while others may be loud, flashy, constant, you are being formed in the quiet, in the dimly lit rooms of solitude, in the secret places where God trains his most trusted ones. You've spent long enough questioning the silence, wondering if God forgot, if you were disqualified, if you made one wrong move and the blessing passed you by. But now you're beginning to realize the silence was never absence. It was instruction. It was God fine-tuning your frequencies so you could hear him without needing the world to echo it. It was God training your inner compass so you would follow him even when there were no signs on the road. That's the kind of warrior you are now. You no longer need thunder to believe. You no longer require visibility to move. You no longer rely on reassurance to trust your calling. Because God didn't choose you for ease. He chose you for endurance. And your two powers are your tools. They're not optional. They're essential. They are the reason you haven't collapsed. They're the reason you can sit in silence without shrinking. The reason you can stand in storms and still see clearly. You are walking into a time when everything must align with who you really are. No more tolerating what your spirit has outgrown. No more shrinking your voice to accommodate the fragile. No more hiding your light because others are addicted to shadows. From this point forward, every room you enter must be met with truth. Not performance, not pretense, but presence. Because your presence is power. And when your presence aligns with your purpose, no force in existence can stop the flow of divine outcomes. This is the era where you won't need to defend yourself. God will make it clear who his hand is on. The proof will be in the peace you carry, in the way doors unlock without manipulation, in the way your silence speaks louder than their noise, in the way your restraint shakes rooms more than their shouting. You won't need to convince them. You won't need to explain your path. The fruit will reveal the favor. The outcome will validate the oil. You've been walking through a sacred tension because you were never meant to become either extreme. You were meant to become both. Not half of one and a bit of the other, but the full embodiment of dual purpose. The stillness of wisdom and the fire of authority. The gentle soul with a warrior's roar. That is who you are now. Not becoming, already become. You're not preparing for the moment. You are the moment. And that realization changes everything. God didn't just hide you, he honed you. And now, the revealing is different. It's not just a spotlight. It's ascending. You're not being exposed, you're being released. And there's a huge difference. Exposure invites opinion. Release carries authority. You're not walking into your next season hoping for applause. You're stepping in as one who knows heaven has already clapped. Don't ignore the signs around you. Your atmosphere has been adjusting for weeks. Random confirmations, repeated phrases, strange alignments, sudden endings, unusual momentum. It's not confusion, it's calibration. God is making room for your next version, and he's doing it quickly. Don't hold on to what's falling. Don't silence what's rising. Your two powers are aligning now, and your next chapter requires their full expression. You're stepping into divine orchestration, into decisions that lead to destinations you didn't even know existed, into moments where the right silence becomes your protection, and the right voice becomes your provision. That's the power of knowing which strength to choose. That's the miracle of moving in divine balance. You've come too far to question the fire now. You've endured too much to second-guess the strategy forming in your soul. Every step you took in pain has not been wasted. Every season you walked through in silence was not forgotten. The trials that tested your patience were not there to break you. They were there to build the precision your power demands. Because what's ahead of you isn't random elevation. It's royal placement. God is placing you where both of your powers will be fully honored, fully activated, and fully necessary. But don't let the stillness deceive you. Even now, while your life might seem quiet, uneventful, or even uncertain, there is a war being won on your behalf in the unseen. You're not behind, you're being preserved. Because what God is preparing requires more than just momentum. It requires mastery. And that's what you've been developing in the shadows. Mastery of your gifts, mastery of your instincts, mastery of your dual power source. For a long time, you struggled with the internal battle. You felt pulled between two currents, one urging you to stay quiet, to observe, to wait, and the other calling you into the spotlight, into action, into movement. You questioned if one was wrong, if perhaps your inaction meant missed chances, or if your boldness came across as too much. But now the fog is clearing, and you finally see. Both were right. Both were God. Both were given to you to build a rhythm only you could dance to. You were not built for the ordinary flow of life. That's why you've always felt different in rooms that others seemed perfectly fine in. It's why you felt suffocated in shallow conversations. It's why normal environments drained you instead of feeding you. It's because you were designed for a deeper current, a sharper edge, a richer vibration. Your powers are tuned to frequencies that most people cannot hear. And that's not your burden. That's your brilliance. You've mastered survival, but now you're being called to mastery and movement. The next door opening isn't a random opportunity. It's a divine reaction to your internal alignment. You've finally stopped trying to carry both powers at once in panic, and now you're walking in choice. And that choice is magnetic. It draws what is yours. It blocks what is not. It creates pathways where none existed before. This next phase isn't about the crowd. It's about the code. The soul code that God encrypted into your DNA before your name was ever spoken aloud. The sacred language that only heaven can fully interpret. That code is now activating at a deeper level, and it's changing your aura, changing your appetite, changing the kind of doors that find you. You used to chase. Now you attract. You used to explain. Now you embody. You used to convince. Now you simply appear, and things shift. Your power is no longer loud by default. It's layered. It's strategic. It's refined. There's a weight to your stillness that silences noise. There's a truth in your tone that clears confusion. You don't have to prove your value anymore. You don't have to stretch yourself thin to be seen. God has already marked you. And because of that, the world is beginning to respond differently to your presence. Some people have started to drift away. Let them. Your two powers are not safe in every environment. Your clarity will offend confusion. Your calm will frustrate chaos. Your light will make others confront their shadows. And that is not your fault. That is your function. God is protecting your power by allowing disconnections, not because you're unloving, but because you're outgrowing energies that no longer serve your purpose. Your choices now must reflect your mission, not your mood. You can't afford to waste your power trying to fix what God already removed. You can't allow guilt to keep you in cycles that your spirit already closed. This is a season where you walk forward, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if it feels quiet, even if it feels lonely. Because destiny isn't found in comfort. It's found in alignment. And alignment always requires a departure. The fire within you has matured. It doesn't burn recklessly anymore. It glows with intention. It warms those who are aligned and warns those who are not. Your aura is a message now. Your silence is a signpost. Your presence is prophetic. And that's why your choices must be deliberate. Because every choice you make is no longer about the moment. It's about the ripple effect. You are no longer just making decisions for yourself. You are shaping timelines. You are activating territories. You are creating space for future generations to walk freely where you had to fight. Your life is a prototype, a divine example of what it looks like to carry dual power in a world that only understands single-purpose beings. But you are not single-purpose. You are multifaceted, multi-layered, multifunctional. You are heaven's multidimensional assignment walking on earth. That's why you couldn't stay where you were. That's why your soul kept pushing you out of comfort. Because your powers need space to expand. And now, that space is being given to you. What you sense stirring inside of you isn't random hope. It's recognition. Recognition that your training was for something specific. Recognition that your delays were not denials, but divine developments. Recognition that God wasn't keeping you from something. He was keeping something for you. And now, it's time to walk into it with full awareness of what you carry. There will be moments when your former self will try to rise. It will want to react, to explain, to defend. But you must remember, those are echoes, not instructions. Your new path requires discipline in how you deploy your power. You don't need to attend every battle. You don't need to respond to every challenge. You don't need to explain yourself in every room. Some of your greatest victories will come from what you don't do. Your elevation is already in motion. Don't slow it down by stepping into fights that God already ended. Don't exhaust your energy on proving what time will reveal. Let your power speak in your absence. Let your silence echo where your voice is no longer needed. You are not just a person anymore. You are a principle, a walking prophecy, a divine example of what happens when a soul chooses wisely. You've come to the place where you no longer need confirmation. You are the confirmation. When others question if God still speaks, your life will answer that question. When others wonder if power can exist in purity, your life will answer that question. When others doubt that someone can carry grace and authority, softness and strength, visibility and restraint, your life will answer that too. You're the answer walking among questions, the solution hidden in human form. That's the weight of being chosen. That's the truth of walking with two powers. You weren't built to be understood. You were built to be revealed. There's a sound your life is making now, even if no words are being spoken. A sound that heaven hears and hell fears. It's not your volume, it's your vibration. The energy that surrounds you is changing because your awareness has matured. You no longer walk as someone searching for power. You walk as someone who carries it, tamed and targeted. You've awakened to the realization that your two powers are not just tools, they are territories. And every time you choose which one to activate, you shift spiritual landscapes around you. This is why you've felt the ground move beneath you lately. Why what used to feel normal now feels too small. Why conversations that once energized you now feel empty. Why people you loved dearly no longer match your frequency. It's not personal, it's spiritual. When your powers begin to align with divine timing, everything that cannot hold that frequency begins to shake. Not out of punishment, but out of preparation. God is making room for the next version of your life. And some things simply can't go. You've entered the season where your steps carry more weight than your words, where your positioning speaks louder than your performance, where your silence can birth more breakthrough than your sound ever did. This is the difference between being gifted and being trusted. Many people are gifted, but only the chosen are trusted with the timing of their power. You are being trusted now, trusted to hear when to move, trusted to sense when to speak, trusted to wait, even when everything in you wants to act. This trust isn't a light thing. It means God believes you can carry divine tension without collapsing, that you can hold fire in one hand and stillness in the other, that you can resist the pressure to explain, to validate, to rush, and instead walk in quiet, confident knowing. Because the power you're carrying now isn't loud, it's lethal. And the most dangerous kind of power is the kind that doesn't need to announce itself.